Hello, and welcome to Part 13, More Five-Corner Situations. In our last video, we started looking at cubes with 5 unsolved corners, and if you missed that video, go ahead and click here. That'll take you back to Part 12. In this video, the first type of situation that I'd like to look at is where we still have 5 unsolved corners, but only 3 of the 5 need permutation. And that, of course, will tell you that the other 2 corners both need orientation. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And actually, that situation comes in 2 different forms. One of the forms is where the 2 orientation problems are rotated differently, and then the other one is where they're both rotated the same. And if that's confusing, don't worry about it. We'll create the situation, and then I'll make more sense out of it. So, holding your cube, let's go ahead and do our commutator on the right side, and then do it again. And again, of course, that takes us to our basic starting position. And looking at the bottom of the cube, I want you to twist these 2 corners. Let's go to the left on this one, and to the right on this one. Okay? So, what do we have? Well, we know we have our basic starting position on top, and we have 2 corners on the bottom that are now orientation problems, and they need to be oriented differently. So this piece, because I twisted it to the right, needs a counterclockwise rotation to get the red sticker up top. This one, because I twisted it to the left, needs a clockwise rotation to get the red sticker up top. Okay? Another way that you can think of it is that the 3 pieces on top are independent of the 2 on the bottom. Meaning that if I were to perform my commutator right now, I would still be able to solve these 3 pieces on top with no conjugate. And that's because, we set it up with our basic starting position, and we know that basic starting position will solve all 3 of these corners on top with one commutator. Okay, the fact that we've created orientation problems down here has no effect on what's going on up top. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve it that way first, because you're going to see that there's 2 different ways to approach this. So, performing our commutator on the right side, notice that solves the 3 corners on top, and that leaves me with the 2 orientation problems on the bottom. Okay, now what would we do? Well, we have 2 unsolved corners. Both of them are orientation problems. And what I like to do, as you've seen in previous videos, is I like to just do a commutator now to move both of these to a different location. So, holding the cube with green in front, red on top, we'll do a right side commutator. That's going to scramble 1, 2, and 3 corners. Okay? Right side commutator. And that gives us 3 unsolved corners. Okay? So let's look at these 3 corners and figure out which ones are good and which ones are not good. Okay? So let's start with this one. This one is red, yellow, and green. Okay? That piece, as I can see, belongs right here. Okay? Yellow, red, and green. But even though it's adjacent to where it belongs, it's not a good piece. Okay, and the reason is because it's not oriented correctly, is it? Yeah, this red sticker would need to be on top for it to be good. So we can't use it. We can't begin our commutator with that piece. How about this piece? Blue, red, and yellow. That piece belongs here. Okay, once again, it's adjacent to where it belongs. But you might be able to tell it's also not a good piece, because it's not oriented correctly. Again, I would need the red sticker on top. So I have a total of 3 corners, and I know that these 2 are bad. What does that tell me about this 3rd piece? Well, it tells me this 3rd one has to be good. It has to be, or the cube would not be able to be solved. Okay? So let's look at this 3rd piece. Okay? And actually, let me go back just a second. One thing that I may not have mentioned in a previous video, as far as figuring out good pieces and bad pieces, another way that you can identify them quickly without actually having to rotate the top to look at it is just by looking at the colors on that piece, okay? A bad piece, like this piece and this piece, are going to have two matching stickers. And when I say matching, here's what I mean. This red sticker matches this red side. This green sticker matches this green side, okay? So two of the three stickers on this piece match. And that's what tells us it's not going to be a good piece. It's not going to be a piece that we're going to be able to use. Notice yellow does not match white, right? Yellow is the opposite of white. So that one does not match. So let's look at this other piece. We said this one's bad. Why did we say this one is bad? Well, notice the red sticker here matches this red side. This yellow sticker matches the yellow side. But this blue does not match green, does it? No. Blue is across from green. So again, we only have one sticker on this piece which does not match one of the sides. And that's why it's a bad piece. So let's look at this third corner. We just said it has to be a good piece because otherwise the cube would not be able to be solved. And I also know something about it without even looking at it, which is that only one of the three stickers is going to match. Can you tell which one it is? Well, it's the red sticker. This red sticker matches this red side. You'll notice the white does not match the yellow, right? Those are opposite colors. Same with green and blue. They are opposite colors. Okay? So that tells me that this piece is good. So, how do we solve it? Well, we've seen before, we can do a conjugate to get this piece oriented correctly, just by bringing it up to the white side. Okay? Now I can do a right side commutator to solve this first corner. That's what it will look like when we're done. But I want to solve all three at the same time. So I know I need, what color here? Yellow. Yellow to match this yellow. And here it is. This yellow sticker is going to go here in order to be solved. So I have to bring it around to the front. And now I do my right side commutator. Just have to remember, this is the yellow sticker I'm going to rotate up here, not this yellow sticker, right? This is the piece we want. So, right side commutator, move up the yellow corner, and now I undo my conjugate. Okay? So, that's one way of solving that situation. Okay? And there's actually a second way which I want to show you. So let's go ahead and create that situation again. Again, we want our basic starting position, which is a commutator on the right side, and then another commutator on the right side. Gives us this situation, and you'll remember how we twisted these pieces on the bottom. We did this one to the left and this one to the right. So, let's look at another way of doing it. And you might actually be able to guess how we're going to do it. Well, just like we did with 4 unsolved corners, we would solve just one of the 3 pieces on top, and we would cycle one of the orientation problems. So let's do it that way, okay? Either way is totally fine, okay? Sometimes it's easier to just get rid of one of the orientation problems than it is to try to solve all 3 pieces that need permutation, okay? So, let's do it. Right side commutator, we're going to solve just the red, white, and blue piece, okay? And we're going to cycle this orientation problem. Looks like this. What's that going to give me? Well, we had 5 unsolved corners. We just solved one of them, so that means we have 4 corners left. And we still have one of the orientation problems. So, what situation is that? 4 unsolved, 3 needing permutation, 1 needing orientation. Remember how we did that earlier? Well, we're going to solve one corner again and cycle the orientation problem. Okay? Now, how can I do that? Well, I could do it one way by bringing this white sticker up to the top. What does that do? Well, it orients that piece correctly. It also puts it adjacent to where it belongs. Okay? And now I could perform a commutator on the left to solve that one corner. But what else did we say we had to do? Oh, we have to include this orientation problem in the commutator, right? So if I do a left side commutator, it would be this piece, and this piece, which would mean I would have to move the orientation problem to the front of my cube like that. Okay? You might remember that from our previous videos. Okay? But I don't want to do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Okay? That would be the simplest way to do it. I want to show you another option here. Kind of an interesting way of solving this. We've seen that in order to get rid of an orientation problem, it has to be one of the three pieces, right, that get permuted in our commutator. Okay? But we've also seen that sometimes we can use this piece as corner number one, meaning it's the corner that begins our commutator. So take your cube like this, with white in front and red on top, and go ahead and bring this side towards you, like that. Okay? And you'll notice what that does. It puts this piece here, and the orientation problem, it brings it to the top. Okay? So holding the cube with white on top and orange in the front, think about what would happen right now if we did a commutator on the right side. Okay? Well, the orientation problem would be our first corner, right? This would be our second corner. And what would happen with this second corner? Do you remember how it moves here? We know that this piece moves like that, and this piece moves like that. Notice what that does. It solves this blue, white, and orange corner, which is exactly what we want, right? Our goal is to get rid of this orientation problem and solve one piece. So let's go ahead and do it from this position. Okay, right side commutator. Notice what that did. We solved that blue, white, and orange piece. Okay, undo your conjugate. And we also got rid of the orientation problem. So now we're back to having just a regular situation where we have three corners all needing permutation. Okay? So let's go ahead and finish it up. If I hold the cube with green on top, I see that I have an oriented piece here, and I also see that that piece is adjacent to where it belongs. So this is what I'm going to start with. Right side commutator, but I also have to remember I need red here, and here it is. So this red sticker has to be in front, and now I can finish up the cube. And undo that conjugate. Okay, so that's it for the first situation, which again was two orientation problems that were in opposite directions. If you remember, we twisted one to the left and one to the right. Okay, and we're allowed to do that because you can solve a puzzle with this situation. Okay, now we're going to go on and look at the second type of situation where you have three corners needing permutation and two corners needing orientation. But the difference now is that both corners are going to be rotated in the same direction. Okay? And for those of you that know cube theory, you're going to know that we're not quite really allowed to do that. But it'll make sense once we get to it. So, taking your cube. Again, red in the front, white on the top. Let's go ahead and create our basic starting position. So commutator on the right side, and then another commutator on the right side. And as I said a moment ago, now we're going to take these two pieces on the bottom and twist them to the right. Now, for those of you that learned the beginner's method and you have a pretty good understanding of the cube, you will know that this cube right now is unsolvable. Okay? Because I twisted these two corners in the same direction, okay, it's going to have an impact on what happens up top. Okay? And if you're familiar with cube theory, you'll know that if you twist two corners in the same direction, you must twist a third corner in the same direction. Okay? So they come in threes. What does that tell me? Well, it tells me that I'm going to have to take one of these pieces on top and give it another twist to the right. So let's take this one, blue, white, and orange, and give it a twist to the right. Okay? Now, do we still have our basic starting position on top? Not really, because we twisted this third corner. and that completely changes the situation, right? These pieces on top now have been affected by the orientation problems on the bottom. Or another way to think of it is these pieces on the top are dependent on the pieces on the bottom, and vice versa, okay? So that's going to affect how we approach solving this, okay? One way that we could do it is the same way we did the last one, which was solve just one corner, in this case the red, white, and blue, and cycle one of the orientation problems, okay? So a right side commutator on this piece, and this piece, just like we saw a moment ago, okay? And that's a perfectly fine way to begin solving the cube, okay? But I'm not going to take time to show that to you because you just saw it in the previous video. So let me show you another way to solve it, okay? What would happen if I ignored these two pieces on the bottom right now and just did my commutator on the right side, okay? Well, let's think about it. This first piece would be solved, right? Red, white, and blue. What about the second piece? How does that rotate? Like this. Yes, that piece would be solved also. And what about this third corner? Would that be solved? Well, let's see. I've got an orange sticker in the front, which means that orange sticker is going to move here, which means, no, it's not going to be solved when it gets there. No, it's going to create a new orientation problem, okay? Because I don't want orange here, I need blue here, okay? What if I brought down this piece like that? Would that make a difference? No, it wouldn't. Now I'd have the white sticker going here. That doesn't help us either. We need blue there, okay? Could I solve it? Yes, I could bring this blue sticker to the front by doing that and that. And that would allow me to solve the third corner. But can you guess what would happen to this second corner by performing a conjugate on this third corner? You might remember that when we do a conjugate on the third corner, it affects the orientation of the second corner. So this second corner would not be solved correctly. It would not look like that, okay? So really here, we're going to be solving two of the three corners. If I do my commutator right now, as we've seen, we're going to solve these two. And this third corner is going to be oriented incorrectly. Or, if I move this blue sticker to the front, I'll be able to solve corners 1 and 3, but this second corner will turn into an orientation problem. And if that's all confusing, don't worry about it. Just take my word for it. This third corner now is going to become an orientation problem. Watch. Do our right side commutator. That corner is solved. This corner is solved. And as we predicted, this piece, because the orange moved here, is now an orientation problem. And as we said before, one of those three pieces, if you think about it, would have to become an orientation problem. It would have to be, because we can't have this situation by itself where two pieces both need the same type of rotation, right? This piece needs counterclockwise rotation, this piece needs counterclockwise rotation, which means there must be a third piece, like this one now, which needs counterclockwise rotation, okay? So, how are we going to solve this? Well, it's not that difficult. We've already seen how to solve three orientation problems. The only thing we need to do is get all three on the same side. So I can just bring this piece up to the top, okay? Now I do left side commutator to move these three pieces to a different location. What's that give me? Well, I see I have a yellow piece on top, oriented correctly. It's adjacent to where it belongs. I need to look for the red sticker that goes here. Here it is. And all I have to do is bring that red to the front. Left side commutator, rotating this piece up. And done. Okay? So, hopefully that made sense. Now that I've shown you all that, that last option for solving the cube won't always be an option. Okay, so you might look for it and not find it, and that's because the cube is simply not set up to allow you to do it that way, which is no big deal because you can always solve it the way we saw earlier, where you solve just one piece and cycle one of the orientation problems. That will always be an option for you. It will always work. Okay, one more thing to look at, and then we are completely done with these videos. The last situation I want to look at, and you might have already guessed it, is where we're going to have all 5 unsolved corners needing orientation. Okay, you won't see this very often, but you will see it eventually, so might as well take a look at it. So let's take 3 corners and twist them all in the same direction. So let's twist them to the left. Left, left, left. Okay? And let's go ahead and twist 2 more, because that only gives us 3, right? Let's twist 2 more, and think about how we would have to twist these next 2 corners. Would we twist them both to the right or both to the left? No, we would have to twist one to the left and one to the right. Because remember what we said, if you only have 2 pieces that you're twisting, they'd have to be in opposite directions. Okay? So we did 3 in the same direction, and then we did 2 in opposite directions. And that gives us this situation. Okay? How do we go about approaching this? It looks complicated, but it's really not. Okay? You can actually ignore the fact that we have 5 unsolved. Just look at these 3 here. How would we handle 3 orientation problems? Well, we would just do a commutator to scramble them, right? And move them to a different location. So let's do it. I'll do a left side commutator on these 3 corners. Now what do I have? Well, if I just did a commutator on those 3 orientation problems, now I've taken those 3 orientation problems and created a situation where they all need permutation, right? Those 3 corners all need permutation. And I still have the other 2 orientation problems. So what situation is that? Well, that's permute 3 and orient 2. And we've already seen how to do this, right? Let's do it what is very often the easier way, which is just solving one piece and cycling an orientation problem, meaning getting it out of that location. Okay? So I see that this white piece is oriented correctly. Right side commutator will solve that red, white, and blue piece. All I have to do is a conjugate to get the orientation problem in front, because I want it to be one of the 3 pieces in my commutator. Okay? So I can do a conjugate to bring this piece to the front, in which case I would use pieces 1, 2, and 3. Or I can bring this orientation problem to the front, like that. It doesn't matter. Let's go with this one. Okay? So bring that yellow to the front. Now I'm going to do a right side commutator, corner number 1, corner number 2, and this becomes corner number 3. So we're solving one piece, and we're fixing this orientation problem by moving it somewhere else. Right side, rotate this one up. What does that leave me with? Well, we had 5 unsolved. We just solved one of them. That leaves me with 4 unsolved pieces. One of those 4 is still an orientation problem. So that means we have 3 needing permutation, 1 needing orientation. So we're going to do what we did a minute ago, exactly the same thing. We're going to do a commutator to solve one piece and to cycle this other orientation problem. Okay? So on the left side here, I see that this orange piece is oriented correctly. The yellow is going to move here, like that. Hello, cat. And we want to make sure that this orientation problem is one of the 3 pieces in our commutator. How can we be sure about that? Well, we'll just move it down to the front, like that. Now a left side commutator is going to solve this piece, and it's going to permute this orientation problem, right? Moving it up here. Let's do it. On the left side, what does that leave us with? Well, we solved one of the 4, which leaves us with 3 unsolved corners. Let's look at our cube. I see that I have a orange matching orange here. Is that piece adjacent? It is. Okay. What color goes here? White. Well, we have that situation where the sticker that we want is on the bottom. We could use this. You remember I showed it to you by bringing it over and up. But I don't even bother with that because there's always going to be an easier way. Looking at the top of the cube, I see that this white sticker matches the white center. Left side commutator is going to solve that piece. So all I need is the green piece that belongs here. And there it is. So an easy conjugate, bringing the green down to the front. Left side commutator on these three corners. And then we will be done. And that's it. So that's the very last situation I wanted to show you. That officially ends this very long series of videos. I think I'll probably make just one more video, not really teaching anything, but maybe just solving the cube over and over and over, where you can see the method in action and the speed at which you can perform this method once you get comfortable with it. So I hope the videos made sense to you. Feel free to give comments or to subscribe or to ask questions, whatever, and take care.